Hey, Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. And this time we're looking at the Yahiko Shitogami R White number 2 Gyuto, the 210mm length. The core steel on this is a 3-layer sandwich construction. So the core steel, the harder core steel, is Shitogami R White paper number 2, reactive high carbon steel from Hitachi. This style of blacksmith generally treats things kind of by eye as far as heat treat goes, but it should be around 61, maybe 62 Rockwell. The construction, as I said, is 3 layers. So on either side of that harder core steel, you've got a soft iron cladding, which is reactive as well as the core steel. So this is an all-reactive blade. There's no stainless on it. You can see I've been using this actually a fair amount because this knife is so fun to use. I've been using it quite a bit, and I'm getting a nice patina going on it. The weight on the knife, these weights and dimensions will vary a little bit from knife to knife because they are definitely hand-hammered, and they've got a great little rustic appeal to them. The weight on this one is 5.7 ounces or 163 grams, and the edge on this one is 216 millimeters or about 8.5 inches, which is really nice. These extended 210s are great kind of intermediate size for home users, so you get a little bit more length for utility, a little bit more relaxed edge profile with that extra length, but it's not a full-on 240, so it's just a really nice length. The overall length on this with this handle is about 14.4 inches, and this is a perfect example of a knife that's pretty thick coming out of the handle, but when you start using it, you'll completely forget all about that. So the grinds on these are fantastic. At least, I don't know about all of them, but this one's great. It's about 4 millimeters out of the handle, even thicker right out of the handle, but above the back of the chin, it's about 4 millimeters, but then it thins down off of that and then maintains, I don't know, 2.5 maybe, and then gets really skinny right at the very tip. But the grinds are so great on this that the edges, it's thin at the edge, and the grinds are nice, gentle, convex, that this thing just really flows through product. So do not let that spine thickness coming out of the handle worry you one little bit. It's a great example of a knife where that really doesn't mean anything when it comes to performance. So sometimes it does. This one, let me tell you, it does not. Blade height is about 47.25. So there's lots of, the handles we'll see is a little thinner, so the fairly thin necks have loads and loads of board clearance for almost any size hand. The handle on these, they're very light. They're octagonal, ambidextrous, hoe wood with buffalo horn ferrule. Fit and finish is decent, kind of average for that. The handles are a little on the thin side, so they're about 70 millimeters in circumference right here where the ferrule and the wood meet. So they're kind of light. It kind of disappears in your hand. You got a generous neck length there for your finger for a pinch grip, so they're great for a pinch grip. Balance point with that light handle is right about there, which is, for me, it's just like right on the money for my pinch grip. So real neutral, flickable kind of feel to it. And let's take a close-up look at it. These are a little bit on the rustic side as far as fit and finish goes. He does a nice sandblast job on them, which hides scratches really well. You can see the core steel peeking through at the edge. And once I started cutting with this, like the first couple of things I cut with it, this rustic aspect, I don't care. It's that good. So I could care less, even if it was way more rustic than this. It just, this cut's fantastic. So you've got hand chisel kanji on it. Again, decent polish and curving to the spine. The edges are not sharp at all. It's not super polished, but it's rounded really nicely. You've got a little bit of relief on the edges of the choil into the neck. Although it's a little rustic back here, it's still comfortable. You could clean that up if you felt like it, but I think it adds to the charm. You got a little bit of marks on it from the grinding. It's just, this blade was straight as an arrow. It's ground superbly. I could kind of compare this, if you want a comparison, to maybe the Tanaka Damascus Blue number 2, the Sakizo line. I would say this one has better performance. It's a little bit thinner grind, but the food release is not quite as good as it is on the Tanaka line. That just gives you a ballpark, so that means this thing really performs. The way this thing would like have an onion, it's just like velvet. It would just flow through it. Not a lot of pressure, just one continuous easy push and boom through it. You don't have to like muscle it. The tip's great. It's just great on root vegetables, great on cabbage. This thing would have a cabbage like so easy. So I cannot tell you how nice this grind is. It just flows through. The only fault I would give this knife is product release is so-so. Things do stick to it a little bit, but the flow through product is just fabulous. So the edge gets thin. but the convexing is subtle, and it's just a beautiful job. Let's see. I think we covered the balance point. Let's look at it on the cutting board. So this has a real handmade appeal to it. Slightly rustic finish. The profile, I think I might have had a slight bump in there, and I took that out a little bit and kind of cleaned it up. But it's a pretty smooth profile. You've got a little bit of flat towards the back and then a little bit of belly towards the front. You don't rock too high with this, but it's just kind of a nice, smooth, gentle profile that should be pretty much, compatible with a variety of techniques. It's definitely not a big rocker, but it's just a nice kind of sweet middle-of-the-road profile. So, again, I've had so much fun with this blade. This one I'm going to have a hard time putting back in the box to send back to Mark. I just, as you know, I need another knife, right? But this one is just so cool. So if you're looking for something that's really handmade with a lot of character, definitely some, blacksmith characteristics, really, handmade characteristics to it where you can see the work, and something that's, I hope they're all ground this well, because this thing's just ground fantastic. And it's just a great knife. So these are just awesome. So there you have the Yahiko Shitogami #2 Gyuto, the 210mm size.